If you're new to my channel, welcome aboard. How you doing? Anyway, if you're not new, you've been watching my videos for a while, probably noticed that I've done a lot of reporting on this drug war in the Philippines situation. Rightfully so. When I first started my channel, the very first thing that happened, I wouldn't say that it prompted me to start the channel because I was already planning on doing it. I mean, I've been wanting to do something like this for a long time. If nothing else, my dream was always to be a writer for High Times when I was growing up. And I think I wrote a couple things that, I don't know. I've done a couple adventures. We're going to leave it at that. But yeah, one of the first things that happened was the DEA said, we're not going to reschedule marijuana. Then we found out later that they can't do that anyway, whether they wanted to or not. And then right around the time I started my channel was also right around the time that this guy, Duterte, started being president of the Philippines. And when he was running for president, we were talking about Trump and his rhetoric and how colorful, off color, whatever you want to call Trump's rhetoric at the time he was in his first few months running for president. The only thing we had to compare him with was Duterte, whose rhetoric was way more non PC, I guess is a way to put it. Outright just absurd is another way to put it. And now, since he's taken power, he's launched this drug war that the Human Rights Campaign has called a genocide. Um, in drug war, things that you would expect to happen have happened. Corruption on the level of who knows how widespread the corruption is. The police are doing vigilante hits. The police are doing extrajudicial murders. The police are dressing up in black uniforms and riding around on motorcycle hit gangs and killing people. Vigilantes are killing people at will. Pretty much just kill somebody and throw a sign on their chest that says they're a drug dealer, even if they're not. You can take out a lot of your enemies in this drug war. It's almost like an experiment in, street Darwinism, I guess. I don't know. But in this drug war, 7,500 almost people have met their maker, or whatever you want to call it, have come to an end. They have died. 7,500 people have been murdered in the name of a drug war. Now, you might think that that's pretty insane, but this isn't the first time it's happened, and something similar to this happened in the Philippines as well. But there's a lot of countries where they'll cut you up, shoot you, kill you, extrajudicially, um, death squad you, whatever, because of drugs. But the Philippines is one of those ones where you have a democratically elected president, not a dictator. The country is a secular country. It's not ruled by Sharia law, like, for example, Saudi Arabia, who shouldn't be our ally. The Philippines um, still garnishes a lot of foreign aid from the U.S. In 2016, we gave them 80 million, I believe it was, maybe more. We do joint exercises with the Philippines Navy and Air Force. To put it short, the Philippines is one of the places where we've always had an allegiance because it's part of our strength in the Southeast Asian seas. Um, but despite that, Duterte has told us, mainly President Obama. I don't know what he said about Trump yet. I know that he hasn't had too many bad things to say about Trump. And I think that he said something along the lines of that he feels like he's going to be able to work better with Trump than he was Obama. Under Obama, how he was pretty hostile. He didn't like Obama's criticism of his drug war, and he told Obama to clean up your own house before you come looking at our extrajudicial killings. Um, and he said he would, if the United Nations didn't like his drug war, then fuck off. he will quit the United Nations. He will not be a member or something. And he's also said that to the European Union as well. Basically, the guy he's insane. He's a maniac. I've said it before. I'll say it again. This guy doesn't give a shit about anything. His drug war had to go on a little hiatus for a couple of months because there was actually an international businessman in town, and somehow that guy got killed. I didn't read the details on that. My apologies. But because of that, and because of some other criticisms of corruption in the police department, as in police were taking bribery money to kill people. I don't know if that's taking bribery money or just killing people for money. I don't know what you want to call it, but all this is what I call really, really heart-wrenching shit. When you see the pictures coming out of the Philippines, it's terrible. So now we have a different situation. Who knew? Medical marijuana. The Philippines also, for the last, I believe, 11 years, had abolished the death penalty. Well, they brought it back. And before I get into this, I'm going to go ahead and toke up with y'all. We got some we got some Death Star, sour Fino. I just got this from a friend not too long ago, and this is the first pull off of it. It's not actually even dry. It's still on the rack, but it's dry enough to smoke, and when there's something new around, you don't really wait around until it's all the way ready or whatever you want to call it. But she smells good. So I'm guessing this is more of the sour diesel Fino type. When you're talking about sour diesel mixed with Sensi Star, which is what Death Star is. I can still taste the Sensi Star big time. Ooh, yep, the sour is there. It rolls off your tongue. You can feel it on the sides of your tongue. It's not super sour like a lemon, but it's definitely it definitely grabs you by the oop. Because I like to medicate. When I'm reading about Duterte, it gets me a little worked up. Not really like when I'm reading about hemp. But when I'm reading about Duterte, it hits me in the heart. Because I know whether or not these people, nobody deserves to get extrajudicially murdered by either vigilantes, police officers, there's actually a whole force of people out there calling themselves some kind of a drug task force. Nobody deserves to go out like that. Whether you're a meth dealer or just a straight up heroin addict robbing your friends and family for hits every day. Nobody deserves to get gunned down in the street. Nobody deserves that. So yeah, I need to medicate when I go through this. House Bill 180, according to ABS-CBN News, prescribes the rules for proper use of medical marijuana, including the designation of a qualified medical cannabis physician, a medical cannabis patient who shall be issued an identification card, a qualified medical cannabis caregiver, and a qualified medical cannabis compassionate center. Before I go any further, I'm just going to say that Duterte, while running for president, and then ever since he's been president, he's been asked about it. And just to give you a little background, the Philippines has tried this. They floated the idea of medical marijuana before. I believe in 2015, Colombia legalized medical marijuana, and after that, the Catholic Church representation from the Philippines and Colombia said yes, medical marijuana is acceptable to them. And I don't know, that doesn't seem like, like I didn't say that they were not secular countries, they are, but a majority of the populations are Catholic in both of these countries, like really serious Catholics. So they take the church's recommendations very seriously. And after Colombia legalized in 2015, the Philippines Congress, doctors in the Philippines, everybody weighed in on it. And then the actual bill to do it just sat around in committee, and I believe it died there. So anyway, Representative Seth Yalosis sponsored the bill on behalf of its auditor, Isabella Rep. Redito Albano, who was unable to attend the hearing. Yalozos believes that legalizing marijuana for medical use, quote, will benefit thousands of patients suffering from serious and debilitating diseases. The bill also has the backing of Philippine Cancer Society, with Dr. Jorge Ignacio saying he and other physicians at the organization support the use of medical marijuana for patients with debilitating ailments and believe that the drug is capable of relieving certain medical conditions. Now, I didn't edit this out right here where it says, see also, Philippines House overwhelmingly approves re-imposition of the death penalty. And to me, that's bad news, too. I mean, you already have extrajudicial killings. You already have vigilantes going around killing people. And you got people just killing their neighbor because they don't like them, throw a sign on their chest, say they're, throw a bag of weed next to them and some meth. And the classic trademark of these extrajudicial killings, especially when the police are involved, is they always put a gun next to the dead body after the smoke clears, just to make it look like it was a firefight. So medical marijuana has been frowned upon by Filipino leaders in the past, but Albano feels confident that his bill will pass President Rodrigo Duterte in power. And like I said earlier, I didn't finish, but Duterte, while running, said he was in favor of medical marijuana under proper conditions, and that anyone caught misusing medical marijuana would be subject to the full penalties of the law. And we know that he really meant, that's basically his okay to go ahead and kill you. Quote, I have high hopes under Duterte administration that this measure would be enacted into law. Finally, there is hope for our people, especially our children who suffer from medical conditions like epilepsy, cancer, and multiple sclerosis, he told Philstar. Quote, unlike many medical professionals, President Duterte has an open mind on medical cannabis, he said. While Duterte has kept a strong stance against marijuana for recreational use, he has conceded that it may possess beneficial qualities in a medicinal sense. Quote, medical marijuana, yes, because it is really an ingredient of modern medicine now. And I can't agree more. I think that's that's the statement that I wish a lot of politicians in America would go ahead and just make that statement themselves. Quote, there are drugs right now being developed or already in the market that have marijuana as a component, he said while still mayor of Davao City. And that's, like I said, while he was running. If you just smoke it like a cigarette, I will not allow it ever. It remains to be a prohibited item, and there's always a threat of being arrested. If you choose to fight the law enforcement agency, you die. So he's pretty serious about the penalties for marijuana. I mean, the penalties for marijuana, that's not the death penalty. But like I said, in this drug war environment that he has now, it could very well be. Possession of marijuana for recreational use will be punishable by life imprisonment once the latest death penalty bill is passed into law. So there's how serious they're about to be on getting caught with marijuana. The bill has garnered much controversy due to its heavy-handed approach to drug use. However, the version that was approved on Tuesday was a watered-down one that only allows the death penalty for serious drug-related offense, exempting mere possession. Whoa, so I guess they had to adjust it so simple possession wasn't punishable by death. A major report by the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine entitled The Health Effects of Cannabis and Cannabinoids found that cannabis was extremely effective in treating chronic pain, especially for those suffering from multiple sclerosis. It is also effective for treating chemotherapy, related nausea, and vomiting in cancer patients. Under Albano's proposal, the use of medical marijuana would be allowed under strict regulations to be issued by the Department of Health and the Food and Drug Administration. If the government of the Philippines sounds familiar, it's because we had a lot to do with the government being reset up after we helped topple their dictator back in I believe it was in the 80s. Anyway, Albano urges those in the Philippines who who have their doubts about the drug to open their minds and not be influenced by the anti-marijuana message that has been rife throughout society. Oh, that is such a good message. Why can't that be the message everywhere? Quote, shed your fear of the unknown. Quote, he urged critics, suggesting that they focus on its potential benefits to patients. He also pointed out that marijuana, even in its raw form, is not harmful, unlike tobacco and liquor. So this guy, he knows what he's talking about. And who knows what'll happen in the Philippines. Um, I'm gonna keep doing little reports on it here and there. What do I think about this marijuana, medical marijuana thing in the Philippines? I don't know. I mean, it passed the Congress. Where does it go from there? And will Duterte sign it when he gets it? I think he will, because it'll make it so he can sleep better at night, knowing that you know he's not just killing marijuana smokers. Like, I don't know, there's some marijuana smokers that he can spare, and he'll there's some kind of compassion behind it or something. But Duterte he's a madman. I as much as we criticize him, he still enjoys high popularity numbers, over 80%. In some polls, I've seen over 90% approval ratings for this drug war, for him, for his other policies. He's made alliances with Russia and China, and told the Americans and the EU to basically fuck off. And he's a wild cannon. He's a loose cannon. You don't see him get talked about too much on TV. There is a new series on Duterte on the National Geographic channel, I think. I don't really watch TV, so if I'm wrong about that, someone correct me, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And it's about the drug war, and I mean, I guess there's no shortage of things to talk about. I don't know about, how long you could go. I've done several clips about it, and, I've followed the numbers since the day he got sworn into office all the way till now. We're over 7,000 people dead. And it hasn't been a year yet. We're not at the 1 year point yet. I remember when he was at 30 days. I remember when he was at 100 days, because he had a little thing that said DU 30, DU 100. And I didn't know what it was at first, and I thought about it, and I'm like, really? Celebrating 30 days of being president, celebrating 100 days. You got to give it to him, man. He's trying. But while he was mayor of this other town, Davao, it was a bloody reign of terror, as he did thousands of extrajudicial killings. It's come to light that he actually started up some kind of a death squad that went out and killed criminals, if you want to believe their context of what this thing was. And it was just all kinds of stuff. Just That's how he rose to power, killing people. And now, he continues. The drug war had a little break. Now it's back in action. And the United States has said, look, dude, enough is enough. If your military gets involved with this drug war you got going on, we're done. That's a bridge too far for us. And I can't blame them. And, the human rights activists from several organizations, the Human Rights Watch group has a documentary and a whole series of videos and web material you can go find about them. There's been investigations by the United Nations and other organizations. The World Health Organization has weighed in on it. And several anti-drug, not organizations, but government branches of different countries have also weighed in on this. So the popularity of what he's doing internationally is not as favorable as in his own country. Let's just say that. It ranges from accepted and just move on, kind of like Obama. Like, you didn't hear Obama make too many bold statements about what Duterte was doing, and after Duterte was like, "Hey, you better clean up your own house before you come, looking at the neighbors." I don't think Obama made another peep about it after that. So now Trump, haven't heard him say anything about Duterte or the Philippines. Maybe I'll look into that and do a story about it.